Hey there, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we'll be talking to local experts to learn ways that we can become better anglers and stewards of this fishery, whether you're out fishing in the ocean, the lower bay, or its tributaries. We also ask that every angler do their part in sustainable fishing practices, keeping this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come. Spring is here, and the water in the bite is warming up. So let us take a minute and hear who's bringing us this week's show, and then we're going to jump into the report and find out what's going on. Tired of battling salt corrosion on your boat, trailer, and reels? Meet Salt's Gone, your ultimate solution. This powerful, instantly acting chelating agent tackles salt and brine with ease, featuring corrosion inhibitors to protect against future damage and surfactants for a thorough clean. Salt's Gone is pH neutral, making it safe for all boat materials: metal, glass, paint, vinyl wraps, and more. Highly concentrated, just 1 gallon creates 100 gallons of ready-to-use solution. Apply it with or without running water. It's perfect for any situation. Use code GreatDays10 to save 10% at saltsgone.com. Or if you need faster delivery, use Amazon or your favorite retailer. It's time we talked about catching some serious savings. Imagine harnessing the power of the sun to cut your energy bills and having a roof that's built to last. Convert Solar and Roofing specializes in top-notch solar installations and durable roofing solutions that stand up to the toughest elements. Their solar panels are designed to maximize efficiency, and their roofs are built with premium materials to ensure long-lasting protection. Whether you're out on the water or at home, their expert team ensures you're covered. As fellow anglers in the Lower Chesapeake Bay, the team at Convert Solar and Roofing cares about both sustainable living and sustainable fishing. So reel in those savings today and visit www.convert-solar.com or call 757-44-SOLAR. Make your energy and roof as reliable as your favorite fishing lure. Call Convert Solar and Roofing today. It's time we talked about catching some serious savings. Imagine harnessing the power of the sun to cut your energy bills and having a roof that's built to last. Convert Solar and Roofing specializes in top-notch solar installations and durable roofing solutions that stand up to the toughest elements. Their solar panels are designed to maximize efficiency, and their roofs are built with premium materials to ensure long-lasting protection. Whether you're out on the water or at home, their expert team ensures you're covered. As fellow anglers in the Lower Chesapeake Bay, the team at Convert Solar and Roofing cares about both sustainable living and sustainable fishing. So reel in those savings today and visit www.convert-solar.com or call 757-44-SOLAR. Make your energy and roof as reliable as your favorite fishing lure. Call Convert Solar and Roofing today. Check it out. AFTCO has a gift for our listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For cool mornings, I love my Reaper sweatshirt. And on those hot days, my Samurai sun shirt. You just can't beat the quality and performance. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. All right, you guys, welcome to this week's show. We're going to kick it off by bringing back a friend from last year. This young man fishes hard, but he also works hard. He's also getting used to changing lots of diapers with his fresh baby girl. Welcome back to the show,
That's right.
Captain Caleb Underwood. How you been, man?
I'm good. How have you been? It was good to catch up with you right before this.
Yeah, I know we haven't talked in a while. It's amazing
Yeah,
how fast winter goes by, but also how long it is in terms of like you realize some people you haven't connected with in a while.
right.
Uh, how's dad life, man?
It's good. It's good. We've gotten over the hump of the newborn stage. I feel a little into it now, and she actually I can't say something. It's a secret. This is a public podcast, but
Okay, got it.
you'll know soon.
Okay, copy
But
that.
yeah, the parent life has been awesome, man. It's been really good.
That's awesome. Here's like a random would you rather.
Okay.
Would you rather change 50 diapers
Okay.
or clean 50 sea bass?
You know, it would honestly be easily diapers. Until like this week, then maybe you might maybe think about it a little bit because she's kind of a wiggle butt now. But first thought, yeah, it's definitely changing diapers. Clean the
Yeah,
seat sucks.
it is. That's a tough chore. I think all the captains, well, especially all the mates listening, are like, yeah, man, we
Yeah.
we could do without cleaning, a limit full of sea bass. But Anyways, for those that are tuning in and hearing your voice for the first time, give us a quick little update on who you are, kind of boat you run, and
Yep.
the type of things that you guys special in with Naughty Dog Charters.
All right, yeah, father of one, husband, most importantly. And then yeah, just kind of started like a lot of guys, was a mate on boats out of high school, for my buddies. A few buddies that have been on here, and just always ever since I was a little boy, just wanted to run my own operation. And I just took a leap of faith after college, and here we are. It's more of a side gig now because like we'd spoken about, you got a wife and kid to take care of. So priorities gotta step ahead of that. But I'm blessed to be able to lease fish, in the summer as much as I can, and provide an experience for people. So that was kind of the whole goal, just share what I love with others, and here we are running charters now.
I think that's great, and it's a little bit of an advantage. Guys
Yeah.
that are out there every day full time. That's tough.
Oh yeah,
And
it is.
so definitely not saying anything less about anybody else's charters, but for you, you kind of have like you get to bring a little bit fuller battery to the table each time
Yeah.
because you're not back to back to back.
Yeah, and no, it's almost utmost respect for those guys because honestly, it takes a lot of work to be fishing every day of the
It's
year. Like
hard.
those guys that are doing that are booking charters, like they're working their butts off the water to make sure that, they're paying the bills with those full-time charter guys. So it's definitely the utmost respect for them because if to be honest, if I could fish every day, I would, but it's just, I'm not as good as some of them at social media or something because I can't get trips like they can, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, in fairness, there are plenty of charters available.
Yes, yes,
The scope narrows very quickly. If you
absolutely.
listen to this show, you're only going to hear from, Coast Guard approved, safe,
Mhm.
respectful, definitely not, what was that guy's name? Brock Horner. Definitely
Yeah, the
not
best
Brock.
effing charter captain in the world.
Our guys are the best charter captains, but they're not the best
Yeah.
charter captains, if you catch my drift. You'll
Yes,
never catch
absolutely.
them acting, any sort of way like
Yeah.
that. If you hear them on this show, you can bet they are reputable, great, and know what they're doing, and most importantly, going to take you and have fun, but also be safe, which is
Yes.
huge. I mean, we glaze over that all the time, but there's so much that goes into safety from your boat maintenance to the gear that you have on board to
Yeah.
communication devices, etc. But you've
Yeah.
got all that stuff dialed in. What kind of boat do you run?
Yeah. So, sorry, I got carried away there. I run a 2022 239 Key West. It's called the Family Sport, so it's a good platform kind of for both. I like to take, families with children out and things of that nature. So, the fishing platform is great, but it's also very comfortable, forward seating, aft seating, all the
Cushions.
gadgets. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cushions, all the gadgets, that you would need for a safe trip, but also for a comfortable trip. So.
So I actually referred you to my neighbor, and you took,
Yeah, yeah.
her and her sister and her young children, and they had a blast. They caught all
Yeah,
kinds of different fish, and they,
that was
they
a
had a
fun
great
trip.
time. And I'm looking at a picture of your boat right now, and yes, I do see all these creature comforts down below. But what's
Yes.
going up in the tower in the business end of this boat? Like you've got yourself just straight up aluminum piping, just beat yourself to death.
Dude, I go hard up there, I was on a budget after that tower got put in there. And I was like, I'm gonna wait on cushions, I'm gonna color match them and all this stuff. And
Never
I
did.
I think a lot of the captains, even yourself, would probably say this. Like it's nice to have that seat, but I rarely find myself slouched back, just hanging out when I'm in that tower. So I don't really think of it much, but basically, especially my mate, my brother-in-law, anybody that gets in that tower with me is like, really, dude, this is uncomfortable as can be. I don't notice it, but you know, I'm focused. But
You and Austin Hain and some of the others that are young and their bodies will bounce back. You can just
yeah,
go up there and do that. Me, I would be like, all right, this has been a great trip. Please take me straight to the orthopedic surgeon.
yeah, let's circle back in
Help.
20 years and see how my legs and
When
back
I
are doing.
when I was building my tower, I was like, okay, this is all great. I need
Yeah,
hip pads. Like seriously, I need hip pads. And I can attest, hip pads have really come in handy,
yeah,
especially in some chunky seas. But
yeah.
suffice to say, the folks that are coming on for the charter, you're going to be comfortable. The
Oh
captain
yeah,
can deal with it.
yeah, no doubt.
So it's what mid-April, almost
Yeah.
the third week of April.
Hmm.
We've seen some like crazy changes in the weather.
Yeah,
The everything bloomed, the grass started growing all of a sudden. We've seen
quickly.
some interesting things in the like what's going on in the Outer Banks, tuna, things
Crazy.
moving, and all of a sudden, boom, the red drum show up.
Yep, yep.
So talk us through what you guys have been seeing and catching these last couple of days.
Yeah, so fortunate enough, with becoming a captain and being, a mate for quite a few years. I'm not that old, but about a decade. I've come in contact with some cool guys who I can call friends now. And, they really, honestly, I can't take credit for this. I was just texting one of the captains and I was like, hey, man, I just need to run my boat. What's the deal? I don't want to just drive around.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, there might be some drum. So we just went out, really to go run the boat, kind of that spring session where it's just like, let's run the boat, get the boat ready, make sure it's all good for the summer because
Yeah.
that's where it matters. And
Little shakedown trip.
exactly, that's all it was. Brought a couple rods with us, and lo and behold, they were there. And
Dude.
we caught our drum. It was fun.
Now, when you say they were there, are we talking like puppy drum, like those 25 to 35-inch fish, or are we
We're
talking like bull reds?
They were there was some mix. Primarily they were bull reds, that 45-inch fish, somewhere in that range. I wouldn't say there were any slobs in there. It's hard to
Yeah.
tell when there's hundreds of them.
Right.
Which was the other good thing. It wasn't small pockets of them. There was, quite a few big schools of them.
That's
Couple
always so
puppies, but
exciting. There's nothing like seeing red water.
nothing.
You're like, oh my God.
Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing like it. Maybe on those hot summer days when there's 100 boats, around the islands, that kind of stinks, but
Yeah.
when you catch them alone, man, it's something else.
Recently celebrating 100 years of history, Tohatsu is Japan's oldest outboard manufacturer, producing high-quality durable outboard motors since 1956. Tohatsu America Corporation is the U.S. and Canadian distributor of Tohatsu outboards, offering a full line of four-stroke motors ranging from 2.5 horsepower to 250 horsepower, and the recently introduced Alaris 6 kilowatt electric outboard. Tohatsu America is a recipient of the NMMA's Customer Satisfaction Index, or CSI, award for the seventh consecutive year. Tohatsu is uncompromising in its pursuit of outboard motors that are both durable and as light as possible. See it, hear it, feel the wind. Well, and that's, we've talked about it several times before, and I want to get into some of the details of like how you caught them and what your
Yeah,
setups were and whatnot. But like
sure thing.
talk us through, so I'm a recreational angler. So
Yep.
let's just say that I'm out there as a recreational angler. I come up on you, big school. Like, what's the right protocol? Because there's always been like drama around this, but like
Yeah.
as we go into this year, it's a new year. Hey guys, we can start off fresh. We can not be Brock Horner. We can be polite to each
Yeah.
other. Like, what's the right protocol in terms of like appropriate distance and
Right.
communication? Like, as a recreational angler, I come up on a charter that's fishing on a drum pod. What should
Right.
be my go-to move?
Well, that's a good question, and etiquette's a big thing. And I don't necessarily think that I have the answer per se. I think a couple guys might tell you something different, but I think we all can agree on the simple things. Well, one, always keep your eyes peeled. Always keep your eyes peeled because you never know what you're going to run into. If you see a few boats stopped and casting, that should obviously context clues should lead you to believe there might be something there. And myself personally, I'm always willing to, let somebody in who wants to catch a fish. So if you
Right.
get the right guy on the right day, I think most guys would do the same. But yeah, the biggest thing is, these fish are pretty skittish. Believe it or not, especially when there's a bunch of boats around in the dead heat of summer. The main thing is, it's a up to an acre of fish. Like you don't have to get too close to them. The way I like to do it is I don't like to go overboard and hook them and put the rods in the rod holder and just see how many I can catch at once. It's, hook your couple, hand the rod down, and then kind of just drift away. Let it go. Those other
Ah,
boats are going to be there. So that's always my big thing is, don't get greedy. Catch your couple, catch them safely, release them safely. And I promise they'll be right back. But yeah, pulling up on the fish too close and things of that nature, it's you're never going to win that situation.
I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm trying to visualize it. I'm almost
Yeah.
seeing like instead of like rushing the
Yes.
cafeteria line, like just
Yeah.
get in line and wait your turn. You're gonna get
Right.
served. It's kind of what I'm hearing because you said I'd let them in, almost like, take the turn. So if I'm picturing
Right.
what you're saying, it's like I pull up, I see what's going on, take a beat, take it
Right.
all in. Like, look,
Yep.
who's hooked up, who's casting, and maybe just like wait for the boat that's casting to get hooked up
Right.
and kind of drift out, and then like slowly make my approach because it's like I'm hearing you say they're going to be there unless
Right.
you make an erratic move.
Exactly.
And I think too often we see that where it's like there's a lot of excitement, it's hard to maintain it.
Hmm.
Erratic move, come in too hot, boom, you push the school down. Now
Yeah.
nobody's getting a cast.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that's what leads people to get a little angry. I understand the other side because there's no way for me to reach out to every fisherman that's going to be on the bay when these fish pop up. So
Right.
it's impossible to get everybody on the same page. So I understand the erratic movement in a sense, but you know, it's tough to say,
Right.
I don't,
It's one of those things like if you were somewhere and all of a sudden, money's falling out of the sky. It's like
yeah,
people
it's like
just
I'm
act
going for it. Yeah.
people act erratic. But
I'm
if
not waiting my turn.
yeah, but it's like, hey, look, it's exactly $100 falling. You're each gonna get $10.
Exactly.
Like, relax, it's gonna be okay.
Right.
That's a terrible analogy, but I think
It
that the
makes
point
sense.
we're driving home is it's like it doesn't help. You don't help yourself or
Right.
others by rushing in. So,
No,
take
absolutely
that
not.
take that beat. Don't be afraid to call out and be like, hey, how's it going? Are
Right.
are they up? Like I've had people like that, where we
Hmm.
just communicate and say,
Yep.
do you mind if I slide in? And just that little bit of communication goes a long way.
Yeah,
And
those
I think,
visual cues are important, like you said, like just giving them a wave, hey,
yeah,
or a drum here. Most guys are going to be pretty friendly about that and say, yeah, they're right here. Come beside me. If you can't see them yet, I'll walk you all the way through it.
yeah,
I've done that plenty of times. So,
right. Because it's not like a school of cobia where you don't want to share them.
right, yeah,
It's
that's
a
a different
school of
story.
drum. Like we're not taking them home. They're not going on the dinner table. Like we're
Yeah,
all just here at the amusement park of Bull Red Drum to,
right.
go for a ride.
Yep.
Uh, so plus they're so plentiful too that it's like there's just no
Yeah.
reason to botch. Anyways, we're beating this subject up. We can move on. But
It's a good point though. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sure you've talked with other guys about it, but it is one of those pet peeves, if you're having a down day as a guide and you just all these guys come rushing in, it can really put a damper in the day. You need to get that fish for the clients and etiquette goes a long way on the water. So, yeah, it's a good point you bring up.
Sam Rust Seafood, your locally trusted source for premium wholesale seafood. Servicing customers from Hampton Roads down through the Outer Banks, Richmond, and surrounding areas, including Fredericksburg, Charlottesville, and Lynchburg, for over 80 years. Committed to the highest standards in the industry, Sam Rust distributes the best of the ocean directly to your restaurant, hotel, or grocery store on time and at a great price. Visit samrust.com to discover how quality, tradition, and sustainability come together. So don't cuss, call Sam Rust. Well, so we're all by ourselves in this scenario. We've got the
Yes.
school to ourselves. What
Yes.
what what rod and reel combo do you have? And you see a school of drum for the first time, like what's
Yeah.
your first bait that you want to throw? What's your
Yeah.
go-to?
Okay, so I typically like to use and other guys are going to be different. I'm a pin guy, slammer 4500s.
Yeah.
I've caught cobia all the way up in the 80-pound range with them. Other guys will tell you bigger. I think pins get too big at that point, so I
Yeah.
like to stay with the smaller ones. So that's my real situation with 30-pound braid. A lot of people are going to debate that with me. But 30-pound main line, I can really cast it. Never had many breakoffs and 60-pound leader. My rods this year, I just started building my own rods.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, it's a fun little wintertime hobby, but
Hmm.
most of my rods on my boat this year are going to be rain shadow, 7 foot, medium heavy actions, like kind of like your basic. If you went to Ocean's East or something like that and say, "Hey, I need a cobia rod,"
Yeah.
that's what they're gonna, give you.
Yeah.
It can handle jigs, it can handle live bait, things of that nature.
And what length do you like to use for that?
I for it depends. I'm a little weird. I like to use 7 footers for my jigs.
Yeah. Yep. I'm the
And I
same.
like to use 7.6 for my live bait, something with a whippier tip.
Okay.
Can't really tell you why. It's just what I feel comfortable with.
No, I'm
Um,
right there with you. I that Wolf 7.7 at Long Bay Point that they sell, I
yeah,
really like for the live bait because you get that like longer. You're not having to swing as hard to get
yeah,
that
it
bigger
loads up.
arch. It loads
Yeah,
up and it kind of launches that bait. You're less likely to crank that eel off of the hook or your
exactly.
live spot off the hook. You're able to like get that sort of slingshot
Right.
motion without having to. Whereas at 7 foot with that jig is a little stiffer, and you can really like hawk it in the
You can
direction
give
that
it
you want to
something. Yeah.
go. You
Yep.
said 30-pound braid, and at first I know I snarled a little bit at you, like what 30-pound braid?
Yeah, yeah.
But I go back 2 episodes to talking to Stefan Turco, who
Yeah.
caught that bluefin tuna from a kayak, and the first three that he hooked that were like close to 200 pounds,
Right.
he was 40-pound braid. So
Yeah. I heard that podcast with him when I was talking to my brother-in-law about it, and I've talked to a couple other people about it. I'm by no means like an expert in the fishing line
right.
world. Um But yeah, it's a lot to say like a lot of these Kobe rods we're using and like those some of these reels don't even have that amount of drag. And I know
Right.
there's water drag and things of that nature and scope in the line and all that type of stuff. But when I think about it like that, I'm like, why do I need this?
Right.
No, it's
It's like,
braid. Why do I need this beefy line? You know,
yeah,
and I
it's
don't want to pull a fish in like that. I want people to have fun and really feel like the strength of the fish. So that's kind of my logic behind it.
it makes total sense. So I just Googled for curiosity's sake. So you mentioned the Pin Slammer 4500 or 3500?
4,500. Yep.
4500. Okay. So you've fished those, and I know you don't have the specs right in front of you, but if you
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
guess, what would you say is the max drag on that reel?
I'd say they're probably at I bet they say it's 25 or 30.
You're right, 30
And
is the max.
in my opinion, I've locked them down before, just like in my garage or something. I
Yeah,
don't think it's even 30 pounds. It's
right.
so
And you're not locking it down when you're fishing it. So back
never.
to what you're saying about your ratio, it's like
Yep.
you're probably fishing at 18-ish to 20 pounds of drag,
Yeah, maybe on the
maybe
hook
even
set.
less.
Yeah, I like to be like real heavy on the hook set and then kind of lay off of it once I
Right.
know it's got it's in their mouth good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're probably right. I'd say like 15 to 18 on the hook set and then probably 10 to 15 when we're fighting it, just not a
Yeah.
lot. So I just don't see
Right.
the need for it. And that 30 pound, I can throw it a mile. It's just what I feel comfortable with, but
It makes perfect sense. Eric Myers got me on that for inshore fishing where it's like, hey, when you're casting those light lures, like go way down to like
yeah.
15-pound braid, like
Yep.
get it even less, there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other interesting point is like braid always has like a stated for its like
Right.
CYA policy,
Uh-huh.
but on average, like if you take like Daiwa J braid, their
Right.
30-pound braid actually broke at 49 pounds.
Yes. Yes. It's
So
stronger.
I think to your point, it's like if you think about the few times that you'd have a problem because your braid is too light
Right.
versus the many times that you'd get a longer cast and cover more water, the
Hmm.
advantages far outweigh
Yeah.
the cons. Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
all right, so we've formally dissected braid poundage.
Anybody wanted to know? Any
Yeah,
braid companies out there?
yeah. Now let's dissect why you use black rods. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
right.
Um, so are you going jig first or live bait first for these fish?
Um, so if I can get live bait, I'm gonna throw live bait. But this time of year, I think without like the crowds and things like that, I think I'm giving these fish a little more credit
Right.
for their mental capacity than they actually deserve. But this time of year when it's kind of fresh and they're migrating, they're coming into the bay or there's all this debate about where they come from, but let's just say
Right.
they're coming into the bay. They haven't seen it in a while. So it's
Right.
like that an NLBN, the Invincible jigs, the new ones are awesome. It's just like an NLBN, but they do
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
anything like that. That's what I'm throwing. Like when I did catch them, that's what I was throwing. But
Yeah.
yeah, in the heat of the summer and there's a bunch of boats around, I promise you, and like you're probably not gonna hook one on an artificial. You might get lucky, it depends. If you're alone, maybe, and there's a big school, but most times you need that live bait.
Yeah. When they get under pressure, you
It's
definitely need that
hard.
live bait.
Yeah.
Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine grade aluminum with a protective anti corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Doc. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. So I'm not going to ask you where because I know it's kind of a precious resource, and we talk
Yeah.
about all the on water tensions that sometimes arise.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to go blowing up a spot. But I am curious for those
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
want to do their homework when it
Yes.
comes to water temperature. What water temperature are you seeing them in right now?
Okay, so I can tell you the last time when I caught him, it was I want to say it was 58 degrees or so, and that was
Okay.
probably 2 weeks ago. And we are in shallower water,
Hmm.
so I don't know if what the bay temperature was in the actual channels and other
Right.
places that you'll see them. But where we were closer to shore, it was about 58, I think it was. So,
Okay.
not
Well,
very warm.
No, but I mean, as a whole, like we are
Yeah.
unseasonably warm already for where we
Right.
are. We've had
Yes.
some, I'm looking at Hilton's real-time navigator right now. I'm
Okay.
looking at a sea surface temp shot from today. And, when you go to like the mouth of the bay, like, to let's say the windmills, like right out by the windmills right now,
Low
it's
50s maybe.
it's like 57 degrees.
Okay. Yeah.
You come into the mouth of the bay, like right by Cape Henry, you're into that like 59-degree range. So
Hmm.
I imagine up in the flats, you were talking about seeing 58.
Yeah.
Granted, your transducer's a few feet below the surface.
Right. Right.
So we're probably seeing, 60-ish degree
Yeah.
surface temperatures.
Around there.
Yeah, and those drum are like, hey, we like this shallow water. We
Yeah.
like being warm.
Yeah.
Bait is going to be attracted to the warmer areas. So it just kind of comes together and makes sense. I'm just curious, what was the total number of catches for your trip the other day?
So, like I said, because it was a more of a run the boat situation, I think we started fishing around 10 a.m. and I left the fish. I left the school at noon, and we had caught almost a dozen. Me and another buddy, we were
Yeah.
kind of goofing off. Just trying some things out. I had just built a new rod, and I was like, it might break. We were just trying to.
Did
I
it
don't know.
break?
No, it did not break. It did a great job.
Okay, good. That's got to
But
be a cool feeling, having
man,
built one and then take it out there and load it up.
I'll tell you, everybody that like all these Facebook pages I joined since I wanted to do it, to match my boat and all this cool stuff, they all say that like the first fish you catch on a custom rod that you built, it's like it's different. And it is, it's true. It's
Yeah,
it's it's neat.
that's awesome.
But yeah, we were goofing off a little bit, but yeah, still, almost caught a dozen. So and
That's
2 hours.
amazing.
So yeah, it was fun.
In 2 hours?
Yep, 2 hours of fishing. I started fishing around 10 and I told the wife, she might be listening right now. I told her I was running the boat just to check on it. Uh,
You
so
better get your
around
fish
noon, she
story
was like,
straight.
yeah, around noon, she was like, where are you? And I was like, I looked to my buddy Wes and I was like, we gotta go, man.
I think we should have a moment of silence for all the fish widows out there.
Poor girls.
Hmm. Okay, that was long enough. All right, so what's coming up on the schedule? Like, what's your calendar looking like? What are you guys going to be fishing for over the next,
Yeah.
month or two? Folks want to
Mhm.
get up with you and book a trip. What can they expect to go fishing for, and what's the
Yeah.
best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, so matter of time, really. Like you said, we're having an abnormally warm, a quick jump, so to speak, with these conditions. So we got the drum, I've been hearing, inching closer and closer to us. So we'll probably be doing some preseason trips, just looking for drum, anybody who just wants to get out and do something like that.
Yep.
And then, the way it's going, probably mid-May, a month before the season starts. I'm sure we'll be finding some cobia in our area. So
Yeah.
that those will be the two let's do it type of situations. I always can do the sheep's head and stuff like the spade fish. They always come in some, family friendly trips. Speaking of
Yeah.
that, that's
Yeah.
perfect for kids. So I'll be running some of those, but just like most other guys around our area, the bread and butter is the cobia. So come, I say mid-May, I think is my guess. We'll start hearing some guys locally catching them. And then yeah, anybody who wants to book a trip, I just got my website set up with Guidesly. It's kind of like a fishing platform or fishing
Hmm.
booker platform situation. So they tailor my whole website to booking trips and things like that. And you can always still, I'm pretty old school even though I'm young, so you can always, text me, Instagram, Facebook. I'm not great with social media. I really am not.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hoping this website, this automatic booking generator system helps. But yeah, you
Absolutely.
can always reach me personally on the social medias and, phones.
Perfect.
So
Yeah, Naughty Dog Charters, and we'll drop the Guidesley link. It's such a cool
it is.
website. It works so well. Got to give a shout out to Jenny with Shutter Speed for your epic profile photo there with
Oh,
the
she
black and
hooks me
white.
up. That's the only
Dude,
reason I look legit is because of her photos. She's
legit,
awesome.
legit charter captains brought to you by Shutter Speed.
That's
Uh,
right.
well, very cool, man. Always a pleasure catching up, dude. Great to
Yeah,
hear that
Luke.
things are going well and excited to see what this season brings us. You
Yes,
guys are
sir.
listening, want to get out there on that comfortable boat, Naughty Dog Charters. Check the show notes for your links. And then, did you say the phone number or did I blank out?
Yes, phone number 757-641-9199. You can reach me. That's the easiest way to reach me. Like I said, I'm old school. I don't know why, but I am.
Perfect. Well, guys, reach out to this young man on the old school method. If they want to page you or fax you, what is that number? No, I'm just kidding. Uh, all right, man. Well, y'all be good. That's going to wrap up a cool segment catching up with Captain Caleb Underwood on Naughty Dog. Y'all stick around for a word from our sponsors, making these great content free for you each week, and we'll be back with you soon. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. All right, y'all. It's time to jump into another report and find out what's going on. Uh, I'm just glad to hear that something's going on. It's been a really cold, long winter, and so a little bit of tog bites just broken loose. Welcome back to the show, Captain Robbie Bryan aboard re-release. How we doing, Cap?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm just grateful to see that some of the bay temperatures are warming up. Like I was chatting with, Captain Caleb Underwood about. Kind of getting that maintenance woes phase right now. I know we were chatting before we hit the record button. You've been grinding on your boat. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in terms of the projects before we jump into the report.
I've been almost done now with my new motor box I'm building. The quiet, that loud motor that I've got on it, and so hopefully that'll make a huge difference in that. And then I'm upgrading fish boxes, making a one that's a little bit smaller but has the same amount of capacity. The other one was just giant,
Hmm.
really in the way. And then trying to finish up right now on these two custom live wells that are going to sit in the transom. But yeah, hopefully all that stuff will get done, and here shortly before the season kicks off, it'll be done in the next 2 weeks. I'm hoping, as long as the weather holds out.
It's looking decent, but man, that's some serious glass work. Pouring some resin and making things happen. I mean, is there anything you don't do? Do you do your own mechanic work and dive on the boat too?
Yeah, I do a lot of the work on my own motors and everything like that. And yeah, I'm gonna have to. I had divers go out the other day to clean the boat, but then now I've got to go out there and just inspect the prop because the tide's been so low in there, and we hit bottom.
Oh, those are the joys of boat ownership that nobody sees that on the highlight reel, but these are the like behind the scenes challenges that every boat captain deals with, and sometimes it comes in threes. You're trying to build something and something breaks, and you're trying to catch a weather window. But for those listening that have never heard your voice before, tell us what kind of boat is it that you guys run at Real Release?
So we've got a 30-foot privateer. It's like a pilot house,
Hmm.
like commercial dead rise boat. We've got a giant tower on it, a little cabin where you can eat and everything like that, get out of the sun. But yeah, that's mostly what we use for fishing, inshore in the bay, and then out there on those wrecks.
It's awesome. It's a great setup. I've seen it many times. Stare at it every time I pull into the marina. It's kind of the best of both worlds in terms of like the big tower so you can see. And I mean, when you say it's a tall tower, I mean it's the tallest tower in the marina. It's probably one of the tallest towers on the bay. So it's got a huge sight advantage. But then that advantage of having that cabin down there to be able to get out of the sun, or if you got family in a charter and they need to, child needs to use the restroom or whatever, you kind of check all the boxes there. But here it is. It's like the third week of April. What have you guys been chasing down and catching lately?
So lately we've been going out into the bay. I mean, it's been probably some of the best tog fishing that I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years.
Hmm.
It's really a lot of keepers. I know years before has been, a lot of fish, but they've all been like 14, 15 inches. Now there's a lot of 16s and 18-inch togs. Catching them, like, I think the biggest one the other day was like 21 inches, which is pretty good size for inside the bay and everything like that. But I mean, we're catching, you know, I bet you we're having every bit of 50 to 60 bites, on a, half day to 6 hour trip out there. So lots of action
That's
nonstop, and it's been really, really good, and it's going to get better.
that's exciting to hear. And what's the recreational bag limit right now and length limit? So you're talking about some of the fish in years past were struggling to be the right size. What is the keeper size on a tog right now?
The keeper size on a tog is 16 inches.
16. Okay, got it. And then I think it's what, four per person per day?
Yeah, it's four per person.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
so
you get
has
a lot of fish for what it is.
a lot of what?
You get a lot of fish, for what it is, because they're super thick fish right now. I mean, they're spawning, so they're up in the shallows. Like we've been fishing a lot in like 10 foot, 12 foot of water, but anywhere from like 20 to 8 foot is really where you want to key in right now.
Okay. And any particular, water temperature? I mean, I know that they're kind of like structure fish, like they like a wreck or they like a bridge piling, but in terms of temperature right now, we've kind of got like a little bit of a blend of temperatures from like the, inside the bay to the mouth of the bay, outside of the bay. What's the kind of target temperature for them right now at their target depth, at 8 to 20 foot?
Well, really anything over 50 degrees is really good tog fishing. But the water's been a lot warmer this year. I mean, I think our first trip out was like 2 weeks ago. It was like the beginning of April. We were seeing 57, 58 degree water, and it stayed consistently from, I want to say 57 to 60 degrees. And then like on the incoming tide, it might drop down to like 55, 56, but it's like the perfect temperature right now for that.
Hmm. Do these spring tides have anything to do with the fishing? And by spring tide, I mean like we've got these like unusually strong tides flowing in and out, these crazy low lows where like a lot of stuff gets exposed, oysters, mud, things like that. Does that impact the tog fishing in any way?
Nah, not necessarily, but it's going to affect your weights. I mean, the other day when we were fishing, it started. I mean, we were catching them, and then once when it gets ripping and you don't really catch as much, you got to go on like the backside of the structure to where there's like a little eddy, on the
Hmm.
drop off or something like that. But I mean, we were using like 10 ounces the other day in the bay, the whole bottom.
Wow.
Really, like, you want like a slower tide is best, especially using jigs and stuff like that. But I mean, 8 to 10 ounces right now with that strong tide.
Hmm. So you mentioned jigs. Is that kind of like your go-to for togs, that kind of sweeper style jig, and like you were saying, get an eddy or get a slower tide where you can get to the bottom with those lighter jigs?
That's what I like to fish, yeah, personally for
Yeah.
myself. It's just a lot easier to feel the bite because usually it's a lot lighter rod. And then what it is you can fish shallower areas without snagging up. You're not dropping like a big weight with a hook swinging around. You're dropping your leads attached to your hook, and you can fish those shallower depths without snagging up so much.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. And then, talk me through like your setup, when you're fishing one of those sweeper jigs that's a little bit lighter, and like what kind of ounces are we talking about for some of those jigs? Are we in like the 2 to 4 ounce range?
I like to use 1 ounce,
Okay.
uh, one and a half, but because of the tide, how strong it's been, I've been using twos and threes.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, if it goes over that, you don't really want to use, necessarily anything heavier than the three
Got it.
in the bay. It kind of defeats the purpose of that.
Right. And if you have
But
to,
yeah, I mean, if that shallow water, an ounce is perfect.
okay. And if you have to step it up and go to that 6, 8, or even 10 ounce, are you completely changing your rig
Yeah,
up?
then you're doing your bottom rig.
Okay.
Yeah, that just like that basic tog dropper loop rig.
Dropper loop, right. Yeah, and those are pretty easy. If you Google dropper loop, I mean, it's a pretty easy rig to tie and it's a pretty easy rig to understand. But in terms of your hook for tog specifically, I know they kind of got like a funny mouth. If you could describe a tautog's mouth, how would you describe it? And based on that, what kind of hook do you like to use?
Very toothy and lip injections. Lots of Botox is what it looks like, or lip filler.
Oh
That would
gosh,
be a tall.
like clown
A
lips, like
face and only
blown
mother could love.
in. Okay, so we've got injected lips that are blown out and big teeth. So what hook is best for those Hollywood lips?
It all depends on the bait that you're using too. I mean, like fiddler crabs is really, really good to use right now, but you don't want to use like a 4-aught or a 5-aught hook on those. So like if I'm fishing blue crabs, I'll fish like a 4 or 5-aught, and then like fiddlers and stuff like that, I'll do a 3-aught octopus hook.
Okay, got it. Looking to protect your dock with materials built to last? Shoreline Plastics has you covered. As leaders in composite marine dock pilings and building materials, they engineer solutions that stand the test of time. Their EcoPile is the ultimate composite piling designed for longevity and eco-friendliness, ensuring your dock remains strong for years. And if you need a quick fix for worn pilings, try Snap Jacket, a durable solution that restores and extends their life. Visit shorelineplastics.com to discover how you can elevate your next marine project. Shoreline Plastics, where durability meets innovation. And then go back up, rod and reel combo for these tog. Is there a different type of reel and rod setup that you need from like your traditional, cobia setup or something like that? Like, what do you typically use for tog in order to be, effective?
When I'm doing my jigging rods and stuff, I've got Stratex that I use on like the Trevally rods, and then I use my Tranx 400. That's actually a lot easier just because it's got the bait caster where you can click the button if you need more line, just drop it down real quick.
Hmm.
That's mostly what I use is my Tranx 400, my 300 when I'm jigging with a Trevally rod, something light. You don't really need anything super heavy
Got
on
it.
that. And then like a 7 foot rod just so you can move around without having to, reposition the boat. I
Yeah.
like something a little bit longer where you reach out and just be able to move around because you got to move around to be able to find them. Once you find them, they're all going to be right in that same spot right now because they're spawning.
Got it. Okay. And then in terms of like feeling the bite, I mean, like I'm terrible at flounder fishing because it's such a hard bite to dial in. Like, how hard is the tog bite to dial in? Like sheepshead, they have their own unique bite where you have to figure out if you're getting, robbed or if you're getting a real bite. What is it like with a tog in order to make sure that you're, sticking them correctly? What's your thought process? And like kind of talk me through bait in the water, you're starting to get a bite. What do you do?
So this is what I tell my charters is, um, you're going to get one bite. And that's like usually their first taste of it. They're going to hit it once. The rod's just barely going to move. I tell them that's your oh shit moment. You got to bite. Get
Yeah.
ready. Because
Yeah.
then usually they're going to hit it once, and then they come back and they go 1, 2, or they do 1, 2, 3. They'll hit it like twice, or they'll hit it 3 times on the second one, and then that's when you're going to want to set your hook. You don't
Okay.
want to set your hook right on the first bite. They're always going to come. That's just like their taste. They're going to see what it is. They're going to turn back around, and then they're going to eat it.
Got it. So you come tight, and then are you fighting them like a traditional fish, or do you have to keep like really perfectly steady pressure to avoid like the hook getting pulled? Like, what's the process getting them to the boat?
Uh, Lift up, set the hook like Bill Dance, set it about 3 foot above your head almost,
Okay. Yeah.
just
So
to get
swing.
those things out of the rocks.
Yeah.
And then crank. I always tell everybody, don't just drop it right away. You're gonna want to crank that slack down before you go because they're gonna end up going into the rocks. If you just let them have the slack, and then once you do that, you can just fight them like a
Okay.
normal fish. Technically, I mean, really, you're not gonna pull them off just because their lips are so big. You're gonna hook them in there. I mean, they're hooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like a cheap set or something where you might have to, you might lose them if you're hooked, in the teeth or something like that. Usually the togs are going to be hooked right in the lip.
Got it. Okay. That's awesome, man. It's also from what I hear, and I think you and I talked about this before. Tautog's pretty good to eat, isn't it?
Yep, that's poor man's lobster. That's what we call them.
That's right. Yeah. Poor man's lobster. I do remember you saying that. And I think if I remember correctly too, you're not a real big fish eater, are you?
No, I'm not. But
Ah,
I'll eat togs, and my wife loves them. It's probably
okay.
some of the best tasting fish that you can ever get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and the fish right now, just because they've been staged up all winter inside the bay, they're super fat. I mean, you're getting 2 inch thick fillets sometimes off each side of the tog. I mean, they're super, super thick, so you get a lot of meat
Hmm.
off the ones right now. It's not like they're skinny or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, there's different fish with different yields. And, I can remember cleaning some tog back in the day. And you're right. It's like from right behind the head all the way to the tail, it's meat,
Just
even down like
thick.
towards the
Yeah, just
belly.
thick.
It's not like a speckled trout where you only get that like tiny little bit of top loin and then it's all around the belly cavity. You lose all that and then that little bit by the tail. It's like it's a slab that comes off. And it's like I think we talked about this too. Like different fish feed on different things as their primary source. And tog are primarily eating what?
Crabs, mussels, oysters, sea urchins. A lot of them have sea urchins in them, but like
Right.
stuff that's really really good to eat.
Yeah,
That
like
you are what you eat essentially.
yeah, that good sweet, and then it's not very oily. It's a great eating fish. I mean, yes, you should go book a charter with Real Release to go catch tog for the experience, but I mean the dining experience afterwards is going to be just as good, if not better. Uh,
Phenomenal.
yeah, I mean, I haven't eaten tog in a while, so I might have to come, help you clean some fish or something and try to steal an ounce or two. Um, but no, jokes aside, any other like pro tips when it comes to tog? Trying to get located, we're looking at that water temperature in the mid 50s. You're talking about depths of 8 to 20 feet. Try to find some structure. Is there a particular tide, that they're more active on, whether that's the outgoing or incoming?
Um, as long as it's moving, that's
Okay.
what I say. As long as the tide is moving, you're really going to see a huge difference when that tide starts to slack up. But as long as it's been moving lately,
Hmm.
because it's not like in the beginning of the season, it's usually better on the outgoing tide because you have that warm water that's dumping out. When the water temps are in the low 50s, sometimes higher 40s,
Right.
it'll warm up to like over 51 degrees, and then that's when they turn on sometimes. But like right now, because the water temp's so warm, I mean, it doesn't make a difference.
Got it.
Just as long as you have some flowing current.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Did you know every 40 seconds someone has a heart attack or stroke? In that moment, every second counts and every critical decision matters. Air Medcare Network's air ambulance providers can provide life-saving care directly to those in need at a moment's notice. With 320 locations across 38 states, they're the largest air ambulance membership network. Rest assured, they've got you and your entire household covered. Membership is just $99 a year or just $79 for seniors. Visit gdo.deals/airmedcare to enroll. And what else is on the menu right now? Are you guys primarily just fishing for tog for the next couple of weeks, or are there other species that you're going to target?
Yeah, tog's gonna be the main thing right now. But then like the other day when it was blowing like 30 out of the southwest,
Yeah.
we had a charter. We ran decided to hug the beach and made the run to Rudy, and I mean, very very glad that we did because it was nonstop puppy drum action once when we got on those.
Mm.
Um, Tons of people in there catching. I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw every boat catching drum in there
Oh,
right
inside of
now. So
Rudy
I mean,
Inlet.
that's also really good. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. I mean,
That's
we're catching them 14 inches to 24, 25 inches. I mean, they're all different sizes. I've seen a couple of people catching some 30-inch ones in there too. And talked
wow.
to my buddy. He fished the day before me, and he had a bunch of speckled trout in there. So they've moved in.
That's
Um,
very
you
exciting.
never really know what you're going to catch in there. It should be a bunch of bluefish. They're going to be moving in here soon, the bigger blues, and then you got the drum and the trout in there now.
Those big blues are a riot too, man. If you've never hooked up to a chopper blue in that 30-inch range and just felt that explosive speed on the other end of a light tackle rod, that's some fun right
Smoke you.
there.
He will smoke you.
Oh yeah. They just go crazy. You think you've got like a little tarpon on, and they're just going ham biscuit all around the place. And then definitely try not to get your hands involved with their mouth because they do have some serious teeth. That going back to what you said about running all the way down to Rudy, is that a common trip for you to do, or was that just like you guys called audible and said, "Hey, we're gonna make something happen for you today. Let's run to Rudy."
Yeah, you guys had to make something happen for the people. Just due to like, I mean, there's drum and everything like that in Lynnhaven right now. That's really good. But the issue with my boat is I draw so much water I can't get into the back
Mm,
inlets where they're at. So we
right.
called the people, told them what we planned on doing, and they were game for it. And
Nice.
I mean, they were stoked. They were happy that they did.
Well, and getting a chance, if you've never done it, to ride down the ocean front is just cool to see. You're probably going to see dolphins as you come around Cape Henry, and then you get a look at the ocean front and all the hotels from a vantage point that you obviously don't see unless you're on a boat. So that alone is a cool experience to get to run down there and check it out. And then, like you're saying, in Rudy, it's it's mostly what 10-ish or more feet all the way into the back areas, so you can get in and explore most of it and fish anywhere, even with a bigger boat.
Yeah, yeah. You're not really handicapped once you get in there. It's pretty deep to be able to maneuver and get all the way back through there.
Yeah. Well, back to Tautog real quick before we wrap up. I'm curious, does one really need a trolling motor in order to be effective targeting Tautog, or is that just a nice to have?
Um, I'll say just because I got my trolling motor last year,
Hmm.
I would never do it again without one.
Got it. Noted.
But not to say that you can't. I mean, granted, like I've seen, there's a guy next to me. He was using an anchor. I mean, he was catching just as much. But I'd say the only issue is you're not as maneuverable as you would be with the trolling motor. Say if you roll up to a spot, you started the fish, or you're like, okay, there's nothing really here. Let's try to move.
Hmm.
Then you got to pull your anchor again, rebend it, and do all that. But like the trolling motor just makes it 10 times easier, where you can just hop from piling to piling, or
Yeah.
rock pile to rock pile around the island until you find them.
Right. Yeah, and if you do the math of like, let's say that you do 10 tog trips in a year as a recreational angler, um, and how many times are you messing with the anchor times how much time spent versus fishing? I mean, it adds up. Plus the frustration and the physical, wear and tear. I mean, those pulling those wreck anchors off
Hey,
is
well,
not
you'll
easy.
half the time you'll lose them. I used to lose like 5 or 6 a year at
Oof,
least.
that's annoying. All right, so I'm,
So I mean, it definitely adds up. But I mean, then once you do that, then it just opens you up to where you're more capable of doing your sheep's head
mhm,
fishing as well. You're easier for flounder fishing. I even used it when we were red drum fishing on the islands this year, like
mm,
where you would anchor up to set up for the drum on the islands. I was using my trolling motor for that as well.
yeah,
I mean, it just makes it way easier to operate the
right,
boat.
right. And when it's time to get up and go, you can fish right up to the bitter end. So I never ask any of our captains, where, because obviously you guys earn your spots with experience and putting in the time and so forth and your network. But if you could choose, to target a tog, if you could choose, an inshore wreck, the bridge, or maybe some rock piles that you can find some numbers for. If you had to choose between one of those three as like this is where I'm going to go try first, where would you choose?
I mean, I'd say the bridge. Just, I mean, I can promise you the way it is right now. If you went anywhere on that bridge, you would catch a tall.
Okay,
That's
so it's just
that's
that
how good
plentiful.
it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think so. Essentially every piling's going to have fish on it, and then all the islands they're all the way on the islands, and they're on the tubes. I mean, they're everywhere right now. Just as long as you can find them, it's just move around. I
Hmm.
always like my thing is I like to be able to drop it. If we drop and we got 4 or 5 guys fishing, we drop and no one has a bite in 5 minutes, and I move.
Move on. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's like sheepshead fishing. If you drop it down and somebody gets a bite, or it's been 10 minutes and no one's had a bite, then you move. They're not there,
Yeah.
and you could move over 10 feet and they could be all right there. Togs
Right.
don't really move around that much, so
Yeah.
whenever you find them, they're all going to be in that one spot.
Whether you're hitting the sand with set rigs using the traditional scent strips for pompano or fishing the flats or marshes for speckled trout, redfish, and flounder, Fish Bites has something for you. They're family owned and operated in St. Augustine, Florida, and pride themselves on making reliably consistent fishing products for anglers of all ages around the world. Fish Bites bait and lures are made with pride in the Sunshine State, USA. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits at fishbites.com. This takes me back to an episode with Susanna Musick from the Virginia Marine Resource Commission. She's a marine biologist, and one of the most, I'm going to quote this wrong, so please don't quote me on this, but if you go back and listen to the episode, you can get the exact numbers. But I want to say it was like it was an offshore wreck. They tagged a tautog. They tagged it on a specific wreck. And then it was like 7 years later, that fish was caught and then released, the same fish, caught and released, same wreck. And then fast forward another, like it was either 3 or 5 years. I want to say it was a total of like 10 years that fish caught and harvested, same wreck. So to your point about them not leaving or going very far, that fish stayed on the same wreck basically for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. Usually that's what happens. Like, especially the inshore wrecks. Like all those, if you catch togs on those are fish that have essentially been kicked off. Like say like they're at the triangles or whatever, and they move in. Like all those fish at the triangles and stuff, they will move into the inshore wrecks to spawn. And then if there's too many togs or something like that at their home wreck or whatever you want to call it, they'll actually just hang up and stay on that same spot.
Oh, wow.
If there's like, less competition at this one, I've caught, I mean, it's the same thing what you're talking about. I've caught so many togs that have been tagged in the same exact wreck or same time, and they will be there all year long.
Yeah.
They do not leave until they make it to the inshore wrecks.
Yeah. And it's like, it's funny to think about. You ask yourself the question, are these fish just that keyed in on these particular areas? Or is it just the fact that like when they stay in these areas, magically, every time the weather's good, fiddler crabs and blue crabs just fall out of heaven to them. So who, who knows? But it is funny to think about that, we are in these areas specifically dropping bait down all the time. And then those fish happen to be there. It's like, which came first, the fish or the bait? But we'll never know. Robbie, always great catching up with you and just, hearing what you guys do on a reel release. You guys are really kind of the ultimate variety pack in terms of things that you guys can go for. If folks are listening and want to get out on that privateer and have a comfortable ride and get on some tautog or chase down some inshore puppy drum, or maybe look ahead a month or two and get booked on a wreck or a cobia trip, what's the best way they can contact?
It's coming.
I know. They're I can almost picture who, like, I wonder who's going to catch one first. Is it going to be May 8th, May 9th? Is it going to be May 20th? Like, if you had to throw a dart at a calendar, when do you think the first cobia will be hooked in the Chesapeake Bay?
May 10th.
May 10th?
Every year, May 10th.
May 10th.
Yep.
Yeah, I can get behind that, especially with what we're
that
seeing.
is a go-to.
Yeah.
It might be earlier though this year because the water's super warm.
It really is.
Super warm compared to what it should be.
It really is. It's almost 60 at the mouth.
I'm shooting for May 10th.
I like it.
As long as the water temp's 65, they will be there.
Well, 65. Yeah. I mean, we're only 5, 6 degrees off of that. So another, week of, mid 70s and we ought to be there. Folks listening that want to get up with you and book a trip on reel release, what's the best way for them to contact you and get booked?
Send me an email on my website or check us out on Facebook or Instagram and send us a DM. And my cell phone number is also on those websites as well. You can shoot me a text or give me a call.
Awesome. And that website is?
Reel Release Sport Fishing.
ReelReleaseSportFishing.com. It's a little bit of a tongue twister if you try to say it fast. So I got to slow down next time.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a good name though. So yeah, folks, if you guys want to check it out, it is Reel Release Sport Fishing VirginiaBeach.com is the full one. We'll drop it in the show notes as well so you can find it easily. Captain Robbie, always a pleasure having you on. Thanks for catching up with us, and we'll look forward to talking with you real soon.
All right. Sounds good. It's a pleasure talking to you too.
Oh, man. Folks, that's going to wrap up a really cool segment, taking a deep dive into tautog fishing and also learning about just how hard boat maintenance can be. So my hat's off to Captain Robbie for putting in the hard work to make that thing comfortable and functional. Y'all stick around. We'll be back with you soon. Let's hear from a word from our sponsors. Planning your next saltwater adventure? Whether you're nearshore, coastal, or offshore, the right safety gear is just as essential as your tackle. A reliable life raft from survivalatsea.com keeps you prepared. Because weather changes fast and emergencies happen when you least expect them. Survivalatsea.com offers top-rated life rafts built for any adventure, from bay waters to the open ocean. Right now, get $50 off any new life raft with code GDO50 at checkout. Stay safe, stay prepared. Visit survivalatsea.com today and fish with confidence. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.